I saw this.
The
Dope,
10
man.
people
Did
that
you
still
see? Did
invest
you
in
hear
them.
about
What?
this? Did you hear about
What?
this? Did you see? You reading that on the screen?
Oh my goodness. Oh
This
my
NFT
goodness.
was purchased for
Woo.
$69 million in 2021. It is now worth
Woo.
$20K. Woo.
Now
You know what
I
the
know.
surprising thing about this
That
is
would
before
kill
you
me.
get started is
That
that
they haven't.
it's still worth 20,000.
Yeah,
I was literally about to say that it's still worth anything.
dog. I saw this.
Get
shit.
out now.
Now it was bought by an NFT, but by a crypto guy, right? So
Makes
you
sense.
took one worthless asset to buy another worthless asset, and you paid for it with real money. Maybe I don't know because
Wow.
I think that I could go if I was smart enough. I probably could make my own Bitcoin and put it in the ecosystem right now if
That's
I wanted
crazy.
to.
As long
If
as
I
you
was
got a
smart enough.
celebrity backing it, you can make a quick little rug pull coin.
Oh yeah, of
Yeah.
course, yeah.
Dead ass,
Nah,
man.
Yeah. Matter of fact, make Kemp coin. Help him get out of his legal issues. Y'all do that. Y'all cash out real quick. Y'all pull a rug out. He go to or something like that.
bro.
And you living good in Ohio, baby.
Yeah, but this
Mhm.
joint, yo, I'm like, it's an
Oh, this
NFT
is crazy.
made up of real pictures of real artwork, and this idiot bought it for $69.3 million.
I'm looking at it to see if it like makes
Mm.
some bigger picture.
No,
it's just a collage of
It's a
art.
collage. I'm
Who
sure
who bought this? Who bought this for
some
69
crypto
million?
guy,
Wow.
whatever.
Wow.
His pseudonym is Meta. I'm gonna look him up. I want to see what this guy looks.
Metacloven?
I'm gonna look. Let's get off this because we don't really.
You know
need
what's
to
so
know.
crazy, man? The social media has made the hustle game strong. Like if you got hustle, like you could convince people of anything. NFT, I mean,
There he
Bitcoin,
is.
whatever
Washing your
coin.
face with a banana.
There's
all
your
that
man.
crazy shit.
Meet the man
Damn.
behind Metacover moniker.
Wow.
This is the man who bought this piece of shit.
Wow.
69 million. I wonder if that was all his money.
Probably. Well, probably all the people who invested in whatever
I hope
coin
not,
he
too.
paid for it with.
That's crazy. And that was a Christie's auction? Damn.
I wonder
They
if he's
getting
still
people
gonna-
too. They
I wonder
getting
if he's
people
still
too.
gonna keep
to the
keep
jungle.
it.
Damn.
I don't
That's
know.
highway
Where do y'all
robbery
think?
right there.
Where do y'all think the future NFTs is going? Like for real, for real.
What future?
I don't think there's a future for that
I don't
shit.
Like-
think it is.
No.
I think if it was a form of transaction, maybe. But if you're actually saying digital art's a thing, it's not. Because
When-
digital is nothing. This what's
See, the only way-
everything's to come out. Yeah, whatever. Go ahead, Trey. Sorry.
The only reason I ask, like, the only way I see it actually working in real life standpoint is through video games or through like Oculus or some shit. So that's why I was asking, like,
Mhm. Well, the kids are into that with the skins and all that. That's a big thing.
But the thing
yeah,
about
but you
NFTs,
see like an expansion of that.
Hmm.
NFTs had a little bit of an expansion, if you want to call it that, and that was a sign right there to get out. Is when they started tagging it with physical product. Like for example, a company would tell you, mainly because they were trying to gauge interest and didn't want to, invest their own money. Hey, if you buy this NFT, it locks you down in 3 months when we come out with the physical Funko Pop or T-shirt or whatever. So at that point, you're just buying a physical good. It's
Yeah.
the equivalent of buying a DVD Blu-ray, knowing that it comes with a digital code in there, as opposed to just buying it digitally on the platform.
And what Hugh made a good point as far as what you have two, weak components to this. An NFT, which I mean, you just take a screenshot, right? I've got it as well. The currency you're using to buy this shit is unstable. So you have two things against you: the ability to keep, the IP of a NFT, and then also the ability to sell it because that coin or
Yep.
whatever case
As
may
long-
be may not
but-
even
With
work.
any of these quote unquote assets, and even things like baseball cards and other collectibles, it's only has value if the person you're selling to, you get to, if you're able to sell
Somebody's
it to
willing to
somebody
pay
else.
more. Somebody's
and
willing
that's
to pay more.
and that's what is the point. And I brought this up in another podcast with art and high end real estate. There is a small cabal of people who can afford these things, and they trade it amongst each other. I'm not going to trade a Picasso painting with Kari and then say to Trez, yo, I'm going to sell this. Look, Kari, I want to buy your Picasso for $10 million. How much you pay for it? Oh, I bought it for $4 million. I think it's worth 10 because it's rare. I want it on my wall. All right, here's 10. You just made some money. I gave you some, I just gave you some money. I lost a little money. But then Trez is like, yo, shit, I just closed this big deal. I fuck with that Picasso. I'll buy it for you for 15. And Sean's like, yo, I want to buy all of y'all and that Picasso. I'm gonna give you 20. He said, all right, cool. I'm working. I'm hanging the painting on Sean's wall now, and I'm living in Sean's house, and he owns me. So that, I mean, it only has value. Like, I just sold myself for $5 million extra to make some money. Not, I wouldn't make any Trez would make the money, and I don't know how he could buy me. But either way, you know what I'm saying? Like, it only has value if another person wants to buy the shit, and that's
Yeah.
And that's like all of this stuff is so. It's really stupid. It's the same with sneakers. Like, the point about selling fake sneakers, right? They're all the same shit at the end of the day. It's just somebody, a different person stitched it. It doesn't have the same code on it as the Nike or the Adidas version. So,
well, that's the thing. Rarity is kind of a myth. Most things are not rare. Diamonds are not rare, right? Diamonds can be expensive, but they're not rare as far as you can find diamonds like a motherfucker, right? But the problem becomes is like the marketing behind what makes a diamond valuable, right? Now people are getting lab-grown diamonds. Celebrities are wearing lab-grown. I mean, that's becoming more of a thing.
Bling as fuck, yo.
Yes, because really they can't tell the difference, right? The scopes they can't even tell the difference. This whole, and then they're traceable. They are all lasered up. They all can trace back to the lab and all this and that. So there's more security in there. You can get the lab, you can get the real diamond with the laser inscription, all that. But at the same time, you pay a third of the cost. And really, when you walk it down,
and
the
that's
street,
at a markup.
Somebody's pulling down. Yeah,
dog. The machine once they perfected the process, it's literally not that expensive to make these things. It's a matter of just time and the effort you put into the precision craftsmanship of that diamond, the cuts, right?
Anything that's not a necessity is essentially a race to zero. I mean, that's point blank. Period.
That's crazy. So you think all these sneakers that I got are worthless? Like, I'm gonna be broke?
Well, it's a race to zero. Everybody's trying to sell before it gets to zero relative to your investment. So your investment might be $500, and you might take $300 to get that shit out of there. Somebody may sell that $300 for $400 and make it and get it. The market comes a little bit back up, but essentially it's a race to zero. How can I get off of this shit before I make no money?
Before it tanks.
But that's when when the markets are good though. Like then what?
Yeah.
Like with sneaker market. I feel like that's why I thought sneakers or think sneakers are a good investment, because there's always people who buy for nostalgia. There's people who buy because they missed out on something. And there's always generations and generations of people that are going to be interested in that type of stuff as a collectible. That's why I could flip a shoe for like $2,000, right? That nobody, like Kari says, oh, that shoe's ugly as fuck, and I sold it for $2,000.
Yeah, I probably
what I mean?
But you have to be careful. You have to be careful.
Wants it.
Because that's a self-fulfilling prophecy. You have to be careful about that, right? Because you're telling yourself, right, this is going to happen eventually. So you can't. It's like when
I can't speak it into existence. That's how.
Well, sometimes look at comic books in the 80s.
I still
90s,
have all mine.
They went through that big speculator boom.
Yep.
Oh,
and
baseball cards, all that stuff.
Yeah, like 93, the Death of Superman comic got published, and everyone was buying like a quadrillion copies because they were like, oh, this is going to be the next, Superman premiere issue in Action Comics, or Spider-Man in Amazing Fantasy. And then they overproduced, oversaturated, interest waned. And like now, comics still fetch a pretty penny depending on which one you have. But it's kind of like sneakers where you gotta hope this one is produced in limited quantities, catches a lot of people's eye, has this moment in the sun, retains its value, never gets retro. You said the nostalgia glasses get put on. Meanwhile, Nike's making like 15 derivative versions of that same pair. So it's really like
and they changed up like one thing, like with the Jordans, they keep saying like the Nike Air versus the Jumpman versus the Jumpman with the Air at the bottom. Like there's all these different derivatives, like you said, derivatives of them, and then you have to have all of them, right? You have to.
Well, you have to have all of them.
You have
sick people like you have to have them all.
Tell him, Kari. This is a LeBron fan, quote unquote.
I got a lot of LeBron jerseys.
Oh boy,
a lot.